Yay! So I think it's good afternoon where you are now, but great to be here. Thanks so much for inviting me. And yeah, today I'm going to be talking about how to do customer-led digital transformation. So as part of my talk, I'm going to talk basically for 15 minutes, very briefly about the challenges ahead, what it means to be customer driven, what it takes to transform customer experience, and the key tools that I believe are the key to future successful CX design. So I'm just having another little digital issue. Okay, got it. So just to tell you a little bit about me before we begin. So yeah, I'm founder and director of CM Experience Limited, which is a boutique customer experience design agency based in London. And I've been consulting in customer experience led design over the last 2.5 years. And when we're not in lockdown, I'm normally flying around the world, delivering keynote speeches on stage to audiences around the world. And yeah, since March, being in the same place for a long time. This is actually the longest I've been at home in years. My career had very humble beginnings, so I spent the first 8 years working in customer service on the front line, including in contact centres, and then went on to general management and leadership in operations, which I think is what gave me a really good reality check on how CX really works, and especially from a people perspective, because I lived and breathed it as a frontline employee myself and leading frontline employees. And then I spent the next 12 years basically in FTSE 100 companies delivering customer experience strategies up until my last role, where I was head of customer experience at Sainsbury's. And my most recent project, as you'll see on the wall behind me, is that I've written a book called How to Be Awesome at CX. And that's about customer experience design transformation too. So even though we're navigating some seriously unprecedented times with COVID-19 and everything else that's happening in the world, I think this Charles Darwin quote is so appropriate, because no matter what, it's not the strongest of the species that are going to survive, nor the most intelligent. It's the ones that are most adaptable to change. And the reason I use this quote is because I think now, having seen what we've seen with COVID-19, that actually transformation just doesn't work. What has to be key moving forward is our ability to be adaptable. So those big episodic, once in a lifetime organisational transformations, as the previous speaker said, they never really work anyway. So how do we get out of the mindset of transformation and get into the mood and mindset of adaptation and adaptability? So the companies that in the past, when we've had disruption, the ones that have succeeded have absolutely been those companies that we call customer driven. But what does that really mean? And if we were at a live audience now, I'd ask you a question regarding how many of your companies talk about putting the customer at the heart of everything. So when I'm in front of audiences, and I've done this with thousands of people, literally almost everybody in the room raises their hand. I'm imagining that you are all doing the same thing now too, if I could see you. But then the second question I ask is, how many of you actually think you are delivering a great customer or brand experience? And what happens then is people start to look at each other, and they look at me on stage, and hands start to nervously go down, because despite those clear intentions of wanting to put customers at the heart of everything, it might not be transpiring to the outcomes for customers. And then the third question, which is my favourite one, how many of you think you're delivering great customer experience consistently? And honestly, I've never had more than 2 people still have their hands up when I ask that question at the end of that section of a keynote speech. And the reality of it is that it's just so much easier to say it than it is to do it. You know, the best intentions, wanting to put customers and people at the heart of everything as a mission statement or something you say in your strategy, it's easy. But actually making it happen and being awesome at CX, I know, is really difficult. So let's have a look at a couple of factors that customer or people-focused organisations that succeed through disruption have in common. Well, I did a lot of research in preparation for my book, and here were 5 core competencies or capabilities that these organisations shared. So, number 1, they listen to customers and employees and integrate their feedback into continuous improvement. So I think probably what the previous speaker was saying was, you know, the genesis.
Claire,
yeah.
Your voice disappeared.
Oh, how long
Okay.
ago?
Are you back? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Is it? Yes,
Ghulam,
yes, we
can you
can hear
hear
you.
her? Can you hear?
Yes, yes, we can. Claire,
Can
you
you
can
hear Claire?
continue. Yes, Claire, continue.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yes,
Hello?
you can continue. Carry on.
Okay, sorry. So I'm not quite sure where I got up to, but I think I was saying that the list of things that people-focused organisations that succeed through disruption and times of change have in common are these 5 things. So first of all, that they listen to customers and employees and integrate their feedback into continuous improvement. And I think what I only dialed into the last part of what the last speaker was saying, but wherever the genesis comes from for transformation can have a massive impact upon not only its success, but the actual change that's able to be delivered. And my perspective is you have to start it not in a boardroom or looking at a financial decision when you're making decisions about things like technology. It has to be about who are your customers and employees and what do they need and what digital technology could support that. But if you're not clear about their needs or the experience you want to create, it's going to be impossible to actually change anything for the better. Similarly, these customer people-focused companies have very visible customer experience leaders who role model putting people first. So again, I think the last speaker said, having a transformation-driven CEO. I think every layer of organisation needs to be showing that they put people first in order for real change to happen. Again, with transformation programs, digital transformation or business transformation, sometimes that part doesn't actually shift at all. The 6 design methodologies and tools like personas and journey mapping are accessible to all. Again, if I could see you, I'd ask how many of you have personas and journey mapping. I'm sure you've all heard of this. It's quite old hat now, but actually the kinds of tools that you need to be able to drive 6 in order to create something like a technology roadmap are quite different than just the journey map and personas. And I'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. Next thing is about empowering employees to do the right thing. So a lot of the time, if you look at your current experience, why customer experience isn't great, especially at the contact centre level, is because the poor employees have to move through so many layers of process or permission to actually do the right thing for the customer. So that kind of thing needs to be changed as well. Agreeing absolutely with the previous speaker that these companies are innovative and agile in their focus and approach to delivering value. And I think that's going to be the key word as we move forward now. What is this notion of delivering value for customers and employees? So an easy way to check, and this is me trying to shortcut a lot of slides that I could tell you this in a lot greater detail, is do you think that these great people-focused companies are focusing on technology, measures, metrics or profits? And the numbers that they're going to produce, the outcomes? Absolutely not. But most organisations with an immature level of customer experience understanding, that's all they can focus on. So they'll be thinking about a system or a technology stack that can facilitate better customer experience in order to drive something like a net promoter score, and the ultimate value being on delivering metrics, not on improving customer or employee delivery against their needs. So yeah, I think just remembering that this is 100% the secret to successful change. I'm not going to say transformation because I don't like that word, but absolutely clearly understanding, do you know your customers and employees and what they need and what's actually going to deliver value for them? How can you reduce their effort, increase their free time, save them money, that kind of thing. And that's essentially the equation. So the problem is when businesses are under pressure, they kind of forget all of this customer and employee stuff and rush into making decisions because of arbitrary cost cutting. So I don't know where you work, but if you ever had some numbers handed down, like this department has to save X% or X million, I don't know what currency you might have because I know there's a lot of countries here, £1,000 a month. Those arbitrary cost cutting decisions create change that might not necessarily be the right one long term. Again, I've said this, but technology first decisions, be really wary of companies that promise to solve all your problems by you buying their technology product. Invariably, it never works. Both of those decisions about how to save money and technology, for example, in a contact centre, we could get this piece of technology that would save us X million pounds. But what might that do to the customer experience? If you're forcing them down a channel that isn't designed to meet their needs, you could effectively erode that value proposition, damage the experience, and you will lose customers and potentially employees in the longer term. This next little model, I guess, is just my insight into how, if you really want to change something, if you really want it to transform, there are 3 layers to true transformation if you're ever to be able to do it. The part around the outside is only the outcomes. So this would be your metrics, your measures, the experience, I guess, that you provide for your customers. And right at the centre is the identity or the culture of the organisation. Now, I think the previous speaker said, you know, the thing that is hardest to change is the culture, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. But what you've got is the opportunity to drive change by focusing actually on the middle layer. So the proposition that you offer your customers and employees, and the systems and processes you use to deliver it. If you can make that layer truly people-focused, truly customer-centric, actually what we do and how we deliver it, the knock-on impact is not only on the outcomes being more people-driven and better results for the business, but this is what actually challenges and changes the organisational culture too. Again, you can't have a transformation program that changes the culture of a business. The business will only change by doing things differently. So my recommendation, or the way that I work with my consulting business, is to help businesses to focus on that layer. Because who we are drives how we behave and the results we get. So how are we going to get there? How do you know what to change and when? And we're in the final section of the presentation now. Hopefully we've got a few minutes left. Now, this is the most famous quote I've ever been recognised for. It was in things like Forbes magazines. If you Google me, this is what comes up. And that's that building an awesome customer experience does not happen by accident. It happens by design. So the longer you continue to change your technology products and take a route that's about processes or systems without thinking about the experience you want to deliver, the experience is only going to ever be an outcome of those processes and systems. It won't be intentional. And again, my business, my consulting agency, helps other businesses to get intentional about the direction that they want to go in and what that actually looks like for customers and employees. So what we spend our time doing in this process isn't actually, you know, the agile product development or delivery. It's about a piece of thinking that you do upfront before you make any decisions on investment. And what I help businesses to do, and you can do this too, is to think about how do we get from where we are today and really understand our current experience, then visualize and have all the ideas that would create what the future experience needs to be using this thing called target experience. So we can effectively just reverse engineer to get to that point. So this makes things so much easier from a technology point of view. If you can have a very clear vision of the customer experience and how it works, then it's just a case of saying, well, what change would we need in terms of people, process and technology? And you can clearly define the capabilities that you need. Because one of the most common mistakes businesses make is to just go straight to the answer and define the projects or the solutions that are going to be in this portfolio of change. I don't know if you've ever encountered this, but when I ask audiences in real life, so many people are nodding at this point saying, yeah, I've been there when our technology team has said, we need an app for that or a digital solution. But it's not something that's been considered end to end. It's something that's going to be solving a problem in isolation. So by defining this and designing this target experience for your customers and employees, you get to build those customer experience capabilities over time in a way that cuts through barriers and silos between teams, because we can all then start to pull in the direction of the experience we've all agreed we want to deliver in the future. And the way to ensure that that's customer driven is by basically having these 3 inputs, which is the customer needs, who are they, what do they need, your brand positioning and your values, because your brand may well be the answer to how you might treat a decision. and do something different than your competitors? And then also, what's the point of view on the operating environment for the target experience? So, I said traditionally businesses go from the balance sheet first and move to decide how much money they need to save, and that's why they might be changing something. You can still be conscious of that future reality from a commercial perspective, but you're not thinking about that in isolation. You're taking the customer needs-led approach first. So this is basically what design thinking looks like. We don't go straight to designing the customer experience. We don't think about what the features are or the core customer journeys are, or even the service behaviours of employees first. We take that outside in point of view. Who are our customers and what do they need? So have a very clear view of that first. But then we can also go inside out. Who is our brand? What do our values and beliefs of our brand mean we might do or offer in terms of service propositions? And then we follow the CX design process that the previous speaker talked about, of already understanding the problem in discovery, then heading into design, which is always informed and co-designed with employees and customers. For me, development is where the agile test and learn process comes in, because we can understand things like the likely return on investment before actually fully committing to a product or service. And then ensuring, because we've really understood the problem, we've had a really clear discovery and we understand our customers and employees better than anyone, we've been through this co-design process so things are accepted more quickly, that we've been learning as we go, that delivery is always ultimately more efficient, effective and joined up. And the final thing I'll say is just whether, I don't know whether you have these things or not, but if you are thinking about customer experience design, the kinds of things you need to be looking at is a frame of reference for who your customers are, like a set of personas, which act as a design tool. Customer needs are quite often framed in things like customer stories that are built from insights and research. If you want to be able to articulate your brand proposition, I don't know if you've seen things like this, but a proposition wheel helps you to take your brand strapline and start to describe, if it was really true, what customers would see, feel and experience when they interact with you. And then finally, tools like journey maps and prioritization grids that ensure the stuff that you focus on does have a commercial benefit as well as being great for customers. So yeah, if you are interested in how to be awesome at CX, I'm going to be offering masterclasses next year, so in different countries, as well as potentially online if things don't change the way that we want them to. But yeah, feel free to head over to www.awesome-cx.com. You can register there for more information and do things like quizzes that help you understand how people-centric your organisation is. And hopefully that will help you. So finally, the top 4 takeaways from today is that companies that survive and thrive in the future will be people-focused and customer-driven, not technology and cost-saving driven. Remember those 3 layers of transformation, that if you really want to change something, you can't change the center easily, but the outcomes that you drive will change as a result of the processes and systems that you deliver. If you can make that people focused, including through your digital transformation and the technology that you use, that has the power to not only transform the outcomes, like customer experience, to be infinitely better and more people focused, to have a knock-on effect on improving profits, but it also has the power to change the core of the business too. To know what to change, consider building capability in human-centered CX design. And and then point 4 didn't appear, but I think it was probably head over to www.awesome-cx.com. If you want to get in touch with me, feel free. I'm pretty much on all of the social media platforms. If you haven't connected with me already on LinkedIn, I think
you can share the LinkedIn with us on the chat. I have some questions. What does CX stands for?
CX?
Yeah.
Customer experience.
Okay, because somebody has been asking. And the second question is, to make a customer experience awesome, especially while using digital transformation, is very difficult. What measures one should take to design a smart system online for awesome customer experience?
Okay, bear with me. Do you know how you take the screen off? Stop sharing, isn't it? Yeah, okay.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry, could you just ask me that question again?
Yeah, sure. To make a customer experience awesome, especially while using digital transformation, is technically difficult. So, what measures one should take to design a smart system online for awesome customer experience?
Yeah, so the key is you flip that on its head. So, the question you're asking is, how do you use digital transformation to drive CX?
Yes.
That's not what you do. You think about the experience you want to deliver and align the digital decisions to that. So you will deliver an awesome customer experience if you've thought about it first, and
Yes.
you create great digital products and services that are accepted first time on work. If you follow that approach of design the experience, then build the product and test and learn along the way. So I think kind of if you want to take anything away from today, it's just this isn't about digital first, it's about customer first. And if you can take that mindset and use things like customer experience design, you can't go wrong.
Thank you so much, Claire, for your time. An amazing presentation. And if you can share with us your LinkedIn in the chat box so anyone can get in touch with you.